We're still live from our Kokomlemle studios on digital address 0992539. And starting today, Ghana's only 24-hour news channel, JoyNews, will bring you the first in the series of engagements with constituents of strongholds of the NDC and NPP ahead of the parliamentary primaries as part of efforts to deepen the democratic process. It is the first of its kind and seeks to get the participation of as many constituents as possible, even though the primaries is limited to party delegates. Today, we begin with the South Tongu constituency in the South Tongu district of the Volta region, and we're live on 3 radio stations in that constituency. We are live on Freedom FM 88.1, Sogakope Radio 92.1, and Sogakope Dela Radio 105.7, which is also in Adidome. If you are in the constituency and want to get in touch, don't hesitate to join our Facebook or Twitter feed and share your views. You can also send your messages through WhatsApp on 0266 047417. But right now, let's get some more understanding of why the show was put together. In the studio with me is JoyNews editor Fred Smith, who is also producer for the polls. Good to see you, Fred.
Thank you.
So why the stronghold?
Well, we realized that in some constituencies in Ghana, especially the strongholds of the NDC and NPP, after the general election, you realize that whichever candidates the party presented to us is that candidate who will end up in parliament. So, for instance, if it's the Bantama constituency, for instance, at the primaries level, whoever the party puts forth from that primaries ends up becoming the winner. So the general election actually becomes a mere formality. Yep. So what we sought to do, the media also doesn't pay attention to the primary. So what we want to do is to pay attention to the areas where these parties are very strong and ensure that we get the people who are in the constituency to be part of the process of selecting which candidate. Of course, we know it is the delegates who will end up selecting these candidates, but it's important also to raise the qualities of the candidates so that the people will also influence the process. If they have friends who are going to vote, they can advise them and say, hey, if you go, try and get us this individual because we know he is capable of delivering such a project or the other project to us. For
the sake of our viewers, I'd like you to highlight on how the participation has been over the years for constituents in such areas, the strongholds, because we know that once a candidate is put there, someone made a point that even if you put a slippers there as a candidate, people will vote for that slippers to become winner. So they don't normally consider whatever they need to consider before voting. They're just in love with the party and that's it. How has the participation been over the years?
Well, over the years, you've always had huge turnouts in such constituencies as well. And so the South Tongu constituency we're coming to discuss today, for instance, we've had the NDC. It started with Ken Jirasa. You remember 1992, NPP boycotted the election. So we had Ken Jirasa going without any challenge. But subsequently, he's gone through, and in all the elections, he's won with about 80%, in fact, above 80% of the total votes cast. The NDC and the others have only managed just a few. In fact, one of the incumbents right now, Kobina Woyome, he is the one who's
he's been there for quite some time now.
Yes, indeed, since 2008, and he's produced the worst results for the NDC in that constituency. Even that, it was because there was an independent candidate, someone who many believe to be an NDC member, and so that's how come that constituency is for the NDC, and you cannot run away from that. And so the people must be part of the process in selecting this. So today we are going into the constituencies. We will ask the constituents to tell us what their needs are, and then we'll speak to the candidates to tell us what they think they bring to the table. The people will make a decision on their own, even if it's just a few from the party who will be voting. At least the people would have made a point to them that you need to select such a candidate because they are the ones who will be able to deliver what we are asking for.
It surely looks like an interesting conversation that's going to be happening from after the launch of today's Stronghold. And of course, you need to join this discussion on our social media platforms, on facebook.com/JoyNews on TV, on Twitter at JoyNews on TV, on WhatsApp, the number is 0266047417. So it's going to be an engagement with the constituents, and we've also given you the numbers that will be opening the phone lines very soon so that the constituents can engage the people who seek to represent them. But Fred, what should we expect after the launch of the Stronghold?
Well, daily engagements between now and Saturday. You know, the NDC is going to the polls to elect parliamentary candidates on Saturday, and so between now and that time, we want to host as many of the candidates in these strongholds as possible. Then after the NDC primaries, we will also focus on the NPP, and so you see more of the Ashanti and Eastern regions coming up in this. We'll speak to constituents and the candidates. It
will be very interesting, and we'll look forward to seeing all of that and sharing that with constituents. Thank you very much. Fred is the producer for the polls and also an editor with JoyNews. So this afternoon, we're putting the spotlight on South Tongu constituency of the Volta region. You may be aware that the South Tongu constituency, the NDC has kept hold of that constituency since the start of the Fourth Republic in 1992 for 27 years. And of course, residents of the constituency have had no choice but to be represented in Parliament by whoever the NDC presents to them. And then during the parliamentary elections on December 7th, they have no choice than to vote for whoever the party presents to them. That shows how strong that is. And North Tongu, of course, we all know is an NDC stronghold. So that's the constituency right there on your screen, and it's in the Volta region in the South Tongu district, and it is a stronghold for the NDC. No two ways about it. It's a population of 87,950 from the 2010 population census, and the growth rate of 2.5% per annum. That's what we're getting from the 2010 population census. So, of course, there's no doubt about the fact that the South Tongu constituency is an NDC stronghold. And you may also be aware that the current MP, the incumbent MP for the area, has been on since 2008. And like you heard Fred talk about, he's presented the worst since, but even that, the NDC still captures that place as a stronghold. And North Tongu is also one of the constituencies represented in Parliament of Ghana. And the NDC has kept hold of that constituency since the start of the Fourth Republic in 1992. For 27 years, residents of that constituency have had no choice but to be represented in Parliament by whoever the NDC presents to them during the parliamentary elections, which normally is held in December, on December 7th. Now, parliamentary elections record for South Tongu, and that's why today we're opening up to that conversation. In 2016, we had Komla Mensah Woyome, who stood and won. In 2012, Komla Mensah Woyome is the incumbent MP for the area. But if I start from bottom, from 1992, Ken Drasa went unopposed and he won that seat. 1996, he went again, he won. In 2006, he won. In 2004, Ken Drasa won. And then from 2008, 2012, 2016, we've had Komla Mensah Woyome. And all of these names are members of parliament who went on the ticket of the NDC. This is why that area is an NDC area. So the people in Parliament, Komla Mensah Woyome has been MP since 2008, and we've told you that his challenger for the seat in the next election will be Maxwell Lukoto before so he will also be joining us, and we'll be having some conversations with him as to what he brings on board and what the constituents also require from him. But before we speak to these two members of Parliament, Komla Woyome and Maxwell Lukoto, here's a conversation we had with constituents earlier.
Well, what I would say is that they should try and bring out job opportunities to the youth in the area. For now, there's no job opportunity here, so most of the youth are just riding motorbike some they are just there unemployed, doing nothing. So it's making life really tough in the Southern district. So they should try and bring job opportunity to the district for us.
Some of our schools, we need what I call structures. And then now our school, our educational system is ICT based. So we need ICT, that is computer, for our various schools. So I'm expecting that when he comes, then he will try to supply those things to various schools in collaboration with the DCE. And then some of the feeder roads connecting some of our villages. Like when you pass the feeder road linking Bonokope area, those areas they need to they have to construct them. During rainy season, when you are passing Spa, Cisnero, that road linking that area, in fact, it's not the best. So I'm expecting that when he comes, or comes next 4 years, he should address those areas that are not connected with proper roads.
Based on the performance of our MP, he's actually doing well. But if you look at South Tongu precisely, it is very big. So he cannot just stand up and do all of the work that he's supposed to do just like that. It must take a number of years before he will be able to, do the work he's supposed to do. So in my point of view, he's actually doing well.
What are the things he's done that you think he's doing well?
If you go to some villages, especially my village, I got up one Teputanga. If you go there, the road is very bad. That was in the year 2007. He managed and constructed the road. We don't have pipe and water, but he managed and extends some pipe and water into the various communities over there. Electricity too, it was one of our problems over there, but he managed and extend light to all of the villages around that area.
Almost didn't take what see anyone in auntie. Yeah, I was done. I'm over from here. 50 Monday, with Thursday, no corner. With 50 last week, no. I'm a best at the stand. Yeman, they will know one in your assembly for not being in my. Oma catch and say, Assemblyman Munaka, some baby, CSA market in Usama. Oma Shassi, Oma be my, Oma be mamma war. Omuni baby papa trano, almost of my bed to watch your woody, Oma be mom baby partner. And so tired, market in my and so. Ufa hasia unasia peche in so to omo beta de my say so ma decide omo so ba be ya my to be catch say from month away free every Wednesday kono de ye be hu difference so ampa so ye hu nsentre no ma start ye bibia ma ye hu say adu adwuma no omo be ya my nti de omo ye no Yakobon boa mo no mo nkoso no mo nye my on shira mo de bia no mo dwuma enkoso mo medamo ase
na going forward you say MP now about the MP
now about the way now we are starting now, I kakra mayeno. On so bar, on course, on share video why you do say, baby, I will do no. I was on so to ask my. Then she see a year any J one who so we have a yamaiti, on so by no have a yamai, yes, you any J. What? Who's the market in any house in any way? You go through a market in any month. Sometimes we say school for any ponomudua, casting it to speed. Speed.
So you had constituents from the South Tongu constituency making a passionate appeal to people who seek to represent them to ensure that their roads, electricity, and what have you are fixed so that they can also enjoy the constituency. Remember, we are live on Freedom FM 88.1, and we are also on Radio Tongu 92.1, and also Dela Radio 105.7, which is in Adidome. And of course, I told you that there are two people keenly contesting for the primaries of the NDC for the South Tongu constituency, and I have one of them here. Maxwell Lukuto is the one contesting, the incumbent member of parliament, who is Woyome, who will also be joining the conversation shortly. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
And of course, you listen to your constituents. Okay, so I've just been told that Kojo Woyome, Komla Woyome, is on the phone. He's the incumbent member of parliament. He joins us. He's unable to join in the studio, so he joins us via phone. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thanks for your time.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to my colleagues over there, and to our cherished listeners out there.
And viewers, great to have you. I'll have you hold, and I want to start from the studio. You've just listened to your constituents. They have a number of issues they want dealt with in the constituency. But first, I want to have you tell us who you are and what you bring on the table.
Yeah, I'm Maxwell Lukuto, a member of the NDC since 1992. This is my third time of contesting as a parliamentary candidate.
Okay.
I hail from the constituency. I went through school there. I went over and came back, set up some businesses in the constituency, and so I've been in and out of the constituency almost every week. And so I know the nooks and crannies of this constituency. Being a third-time aspirant, I know too well the issues of the constituency, and I believe that I'm well able and capable to continue from where the incumbent will be leaving soon, very soon on Saturday. He will bid farewell to the seat. And I'll take over from him. He's done his bid, whatever it takes. Leading people is not easy. For 12 years, leading South Tongu constituency, he should be great to be able to do that. But I think that no one person has all the knowledge in the world. And so whatever you have done, somebody else should take it over from. And per what you yourself have said, he has performed well. He has had the worst performance in terms of delivering votes for the NDC. And so I think that if NDC as a party needs to win this election in 2020, then they need me to take over from him and then revitalize the base at the grassroots level and make sure that we add up to our vote and then get the results we need for 2020.
Okay, you've just enumerated, and I've heard just you speak grammar. I would get into how you intend to turn this talk into action, but let me bring on board Komla Woyome, who's been there since 2008. You've been there for all this while, and you just listen to the constituents. What do you bring on board that is so different from what you have done over the years? Because you've heard the constituents, they're still yearning for basic amenities such as roads, such as electricity.
Yeah, thank you. And let me just say that initial outlook of the place, I mean, that is the district at the time, indicated a situation that was not too good. Some basic amenities were lacking in many of the areas, and until I became the member of parliament in 2009, that was the key things that I managed to lobby for by way of ensuring that we got electricity started all across. At the time, we had electricity only in our 45 communities, and at the time we were leaving office in 2016, we have electricity extended to well over 350 communities. Then we also saw an extension of water, pipeline water, to a number of communities. Then at the time, we had only about 37 communities. We do have currently about 90 plus communities, and so counting. Our challenge is the main source that needs to be expanded as a result of some work that have been done over the years since it was installed in 1998, and in Parliament, questions to that effect were asked, and there were assurances the ministers to ensure that those were resolved, including an addition of a plant to extend water supply to Lumi. Then you also have roads, because it's so key. I mean, we've been able to work on a number of roads, tarred. I mean, we lifted our kind of feeder roads to tarred roads. Consider too, we were having feeder roads to be just gravel roads, but we have actually improved on that to have many of the roads tarred. But yet, we still have some challenges. We got some number of roads being undertaken until we left office. I mean, until my government left office. But yes, I remain the member of parliament for the area, and some of those projects stalled as a result of lack of funds from the central government. And there's been a lot of calls on the central government to probably get back the contractors to work. And so that's basic. Because the intention is this. I mean, yes, I heard youth unemployment quite an interesting figure, not too good. And so we do need to have the basic amenities in place to be able to get investments into the areas, and so that we can be able to create the jobs. We've been able to do that, but we still need to do more. And so what I intend to do, I am going to push the agenda to collaborate effectively with the private sector, and then many of sister communities that I have already started engaging in the United States to engage in those twin engagements, so that we can be able to collaborate and bring to our place experiences, maybe transfer of technology, and then also be able to ensure that we bring investments in some particular areas. And this area is so blessed and so endowed. One of the areas that I think we can do, and we are highly engaging the appropriate persons, is the hospitality business, because of the river, and then also the location, the geographical location. And so all of these, and then of course agriculture, because I've been able to ensure that we can go into mechanized agriculture, into rice production. We do have, under my tenure, 2 state-of-the-art rice mills that are running at low capacity, that must be really fed with paddy rice. And so some extension services, and then engagement of many more people into rice production, so that we can buy back and then get the rice mills fed with a lot of their products, so that we can produce many more. In fact, we currently do produce our own brands like Janehini and several other brands on the market. And I'm so very proud that we do have room to expand, so that we can be able to engage many of our youth in that area. In fact, I know we do have a number of our youth engaged in Okada businesses and all that. I do engage them, and then get many of them into apprenticeships, and I help them with startup packs to be able to start their businesses after graduating from those skills training. And that we are going to expand this time around to ensure that we get many more such opportunities for a lot of people. And so these and many are the plans that I have, and of course how to integrate the base of our party, and then be able to position it strategically to win the 2020 election.
Well,
so
it does seem that the constituents are not actually feeling the impact of all these interventions yet. So I would like to find out from you, but let me come back to the studio, then I'll get back to you on that. You have enumerated beautifully how you seek to make the constituency better. How do you intend to put that in place? Because your opponent has been there since 2008, and he's just told you how difficult it's been to actually even get some of the interventions he got in place.
I'm sure he's just told us what he intends to do, what he intends to do. The question, what have you done?
He mentioned some of the things that he has done.
Road construction does not lie directly under his boss. So if he
it's the members of parliament who lobby for it.
If he does, he would have done that Agave-Apedume road. He said that it's on contract, but now that government has changed hands, it's no longer being done. The question is why, and why has he followed up? What is the result? What has he done about it? The Agota road that he spoke about, it's because the Nutepo naval base, a naval base has been established in the constituency. That is what actually called for that road to be constructed to the school. So if he's claiming that he lobbied for it, why was he not able to lobby for the Agave-Apedume road? And then the Gonu road, which has been there, culverts have even been made on that road. It's only left with lateral to be poured on, and some other roads done. The Blamazado road was done lobbied by DC, and it was done. So if he's talking about his lobbying skills, which he used in constructing that Agota road, I'm sure he would have done the same thing to lobby for the Lolito road, also for the Gonu road. I'm not sure he has a hand in that. If he had, he would have done the same thing for the Agave-Apedume road. There are several things that I have done myself as an individual, and the constituents know that Agave-Apedume road, I was able to lobby equipment from the National Security Outfit to fill in the bad spot until a proper contract has been made for it to be done. But unfortunately, it was taken off because maybe I am not the MP and somebody felt threatened that I had to go to the extent to do that. There are several other interventions I've done individually, like helping communities construct bridges for them, helping communities to lobby. We still have issues with water in our communities. The last time I was in Ho to meet the engineer to think about what we can do to help solve the water problem. We have issues of sanitation. We still can't make headway. We have issues of insecurity in the constituency. We have issues of lowering standard of education in the constituency. There's a plethora of issues that surround us. He might have done his bit, but the issue is that he alone cannot do it all. I'm expecting to hear him say, I have done this, I have done that, I have done that, only to say that I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to collaborate. I am bringing on board an all-hands-on-deck policy. That is the transformational leadership that I intend to bring on board, where everybody is involved. It's not because I'm the MP, me alone should think about whatever happens, and that is a no. I want to engage everybody. The last time I was with the founder of the party, former president, you know he's one of our constituents. He lives right there within the constituency. I was with him. We chatted over a lot of issues, and we're thinking about how to put things together. You see, as an MP, you should be able to involve people. If our MP is now saying that he's now going to collaborate with private institutions, I don't know how he's going to do it. Those rice mills that are cited in the constituency, what input has he made into them? What memorandum of understanding has he signed to allow our people to be engaged on those farms? The soccer academy, Wafa, you know Wafa is located right in Sogakope. Yeah. What memorandum of understanding have we signed as a constituency to get our people also to be engaged there, even as common laborers, even if they cannot play football? But there are a lot of football talents in the constituency. He has been the chairman for the sports culture committee for 8 years, and also now the ranking member. Can he tell us the number of people that he's been able to push into that soccer academy, or let alone football academies outside the constituency? It's not about I will do. It should be I have done. And if he's been able to do all this, I'm only saying that he's done so much, we are clapping for him. He should leave somebody else to come and take it over from where he's been. 12 years in service, and you are delivering the poorest votes for the NDC in the constituency, and you think you want to reduce further? I'm not sure the constituents are ready to give him any other further chance.
Well, Honorable Oyome, you had your contender there, but one of...
You know, let me just put it this way. Yeah. I'm sure you listened to me carefully, and my choice of words are the we, and so therefore it's not as if I unilaterally just, do not engage people, consult, and to get things done. And also to put it this way, that I have done a lot, or we have done a lot, and then the issue about the Agave road, he lacks knowledge about the genesis, and he should come, probably I will let him understand. Let me just say this. We were able to extend electricity and water to the Agave Academy. And God, His Excellency, the President of the country at the time on 13th July 2013, to visit the area for the first time in the history of the area, to commission the water that was extended to 13 plus communities, which we extended. Now, it was then we spoke further about the deplorable state of the road, and there was a need for the road to be quickly, done, to enable the potential of the area, unleashed. Because by estimate, the area can engage direct employment about 20,000, and indirect, you can talk about 10,000 plus in terms of the hospitality businesses and then Akoprome agri project. Let me just put it this way, that when the project did not take off, I wrote a letter, and then to the National Security requested for those equipment. And so I do not know where he got that information from. Then I would want to urge him to produce a copy of the letter he wrote to the National Security to you for the general public, as well I have mine. And so again, who encouraged the fueling? Did he, or we did that from our own resources, like the common funds available to us at the district? You see, these are some of the things he keeps telling people And unfortunately, he has also forgotten that he was not a member of parliament when those engagements took place.
He wants you to produce documents to support your claims.
Should I be a member of parliament?
Okay, let him finish.
Were rightly discussed on the floor of parliament. Questions were asked, and then engagement even after with the minister went on. Until now, the issue is about funding. Let me put it across to him that member of parliament, you have no fund of your own to construct roads.
Yes.
And so you should be careful how you go about it. And then let me also put it this way. The naval base he's talking about, he should go and find out who and how the naval base came there. In terms of negotiations with the defense ministry and all the Honorable Benjamin Kumbo, then the Minister for Defense, and how the whole genesis and discussions went and how it came about, including the roads that was supposed to be constructed up to Hawi and beyond. And whether letters to that effect had not been written to the ministers earlier, ahead of the time, ahead of what he's talking about. Let me just say this. You see, it's easier said than done. And he should know the responsibilities of a member of parliament. And then he must appreciate that, first and foremost, you are a lawmaker. At best, you can lobby. And that is what you can do to facilitate things into your area. I don't know what he claims. He doesn't even know, understand how the rice mill came about. You don't even know how we engaged the initial investors.
Mr. Wayman, one of
myself and the previous DCE, and that culminated into that project, and then the rice mill eventually. And let me also say this: we played various roles, and of course, we know the numbers of our indigenous that are working in those farms or on those farms and in those mills or on those mills. Let me just also put it this way again, that he should come and let me educate him further on the, the WAFA, that project, how it initially engaged our own people, and eventually what happened that the people are shying away. And as we speak now, we have revisited the issue and are discussing to see how our people can get back in there. And so the issue is that it's easier you throw things out and you don't even understand. These are our babies. Being a chairman of a parliamentary select committee does not put you at the in charge of resource, like maybe the minister has resource allocated to him, and therefore he sees to it that things associated to the particular sector, he ensures that they are established and they are put in place and all that. A member of parliament is to ensure oversight over the allocations to such sectors and to ensure that there's good value for money and there's good governance.
But the point he made, if I want to quote him, he said, you've been chairman. What have you been able to use that position to do for your constituency?
That I have done a lot. In fact, even this morning I was with a number of coaches and friends. We're discussing about an issue that happened because we've undertaken a number of youth tournament games here. And I engaged the then president of our, unfortunately, Nyante Chief, let me put it this way.
Okay.
At the time, I engaged him and I asked him to ensure that some of our boys got teams. You know, he actually assisted in sending scouts to some of the playing fields, where we played. And then they got some of the boys to come and justify, and then see if we could get opportunities. The boys, I was told, they played very well. Unfortunately, they couldn't get opportunity in there. It was later on that I got to know a few things that I think I would not want to share on the this. But let me just put it this way. Unfortunately, probably one wanted us to do a few things before the boys were taken. And the expose gave us a lot of indications to that effect. And so I'm believing that going forward, I've engaged a number of our coaches to tell them that we are going to ensure that we repeat the same thing, and then this time around get a number of them to get opportunities into the first division and probably into the Premier.
Honorable,
now, I also know some of the boys are playing in Italy.
Talking about the youth, there's an important message that has just come in from one of your constituents, and he says, and it's coming from Peace Fafali from Sogakope. He says, all that we need in the Volta region is development, but it seems if our leaders come, they totally forget their promises and start doing other things. And he's also saying that, Mr. Lukuto, please, I hope you wouldn't forget your promises when you are voted into power. And he says hashtag job creation. What can you boast of in terms of job creation in your constituency?
Madam, I have done a lot, both formal and then also informal skills training, and then equipping same to start businesses. And it is no secret at all in the district that I'm still in that business. And in November, I'm going to give out over 500 sewing machines and hair dryers again. I have planned to do same for some electricians. These are things that it's routine things that I do. And I support all these things because we believe we want to take many more of our Okada riders off Okada so that they can get themselves into something very meaningful. And that we are doing. I'm not too happy about one thing, that every week we get many of these brothers that are engaged in the Okada business, involved in accidents, and then the end result probably is death. And we're not so happy about that. And so these are issues that are confronting our minds, and we are discussing it, and we are engaging everybody. I mean, I got some pastors yesterday. We spoke at length about some of this and how they would want to change the message to target the youth and then change the mindset and see how they can embrace some of the opportunities that we bring to them. And then so these are things that I have been doing, and I can tell you I have put out a number into meaningful businesses. In fact, the formal, those that have assisted into various jobs, facilitated, in fact, they are there. And then I don't think I want to mention names.
Okay.
And so these are businesses that business as usual.
Great.
And
Let me have you hold.
Very accommodating in receiving them and ensuring that whatever is required is done. And so, unfortunately, it's like people must get to appreciate the role of the member of parliament effectively, so that we will do our bit. We will continue to advance what we ought to do in bettering the lot of the people we represent in the August House.
A number of messages are coming in, and they still want some answers from you. Let me read a few of them to you. Jikpo, Robert is sending this from Jikpo. He says, good evening. Please, I want to find out from Mr. Woyome when Jikpo, Agbakome, and Chavanya will get good drinking water. Absolutely, I'll be ready to answer that.
You know, the issue about it, I mean, at various town hall meetings, stretching from Tupulupu, Dabala Junction, Agbakofe, Agbagome, Hipo, Savanya, it's been the same thing. And it's one thing that, look, we think the treatment plant at Agodome has to be expanded. The pipeline from the, the Agodome down to the Suapa Township has to be expanded, and then
have you made plans for these expansions?
Hello.
Have you made plans for the expansions?
Of course, madam. In fact, really, when our governor was in power, letters and then follow-ups to this has been done, and then there's been assurances from the then government and continue to this government, and in fact, there's been a discussion on the matter on the floor of Parliament through a parliamentary question. And they all point to one particular thing, that yes, we need to expand towards them and then to many other areas. And that's the plan is this. We have to undertake the Sukakope Lome water project so that we can be able to supply pipe-borne water to many of the communities in the area. And aside that, the contractors that the government, according to them, in their parliamentary answer, that they are in the process of engaging a company to expand their government treatment plant to be able to meet some of the deficits that are currently happening.
Okay, so that is in the pipeline, you say. Let me come to the studio and get your reaction, because the one who sent the message.
These are issues and things that have been well pushed over the years and have gotten to various stages of maybe deploying contractors to get them to work.
So that should come very soon. Per your analysis, that should come very soon, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Robert also wants Mr. Lukoto to tell us what plans he has about resolving the water situation in that area. Apparently, there's a situation.
Absolutely.
I've already been to the community water, the regional engineer in Ho, about some 2 months ago. And the third phase of the water project, which was done at Adidome, will start soon. And when that is done, they will connect to the Yokutikpo area and then to flow all downwards to Agokpo area. That I have been able to speak to the regional engineer, and it's being worked on. I am happy to hear my MP say that he's done this, but we can't feel those things on the ground. It will soon start. It will soon start. It's just saying it will soon start.
So how do you intend to resolve the problem?
Of course, you need collaboration with all people who are involved. Ablakwa has been in Parliament for just 8 years. Look at the number of things that he can take credit for as an MP. And you've been in Parliament for 12 years. And all these 12 years, you're saying that it will be done, it will be done, it will be done. When will it be done? After 20 years? So I think that he's just lost the shine. He should just give way to somebody else to take over and see what happens the next 4 years. Saying that it will be done, will be done. We have heard this story severally, and I'm not sure the constituents are ready to listen to him any further. I want to bring transformational leadership on board, where everybody will be involved. At the beginning of every year, all the stakeholders in the constituency will be brought together. We think about forward march of the constituency. When I move as an MP, maybe carrying people along to go and see where we can get interventions. It shouldn't be a one-man show because you are the MP, you get it through. He should mention the number of youth around him that he's been able to develop through education or even finding employment for. The boys are still around town. They've not gotten anything to do. So if he's saying that he's gotten formal employment for, which people, can he mention 10 or 15 people? I'm not sure he can.
So for you want to bring transformational leadership.
Of course. Even now, there are some of the students I am taking through school. They've gone to do their master. They were with him for several years. He was not able to do that. But they came to me and I was able to send them to do their master. Yes, I do a lot of things for the people, even immediately now. I don't have to be an MP before I do it. I think that he's lost his shine and he should give me.
For your contribution to the show this afternoon. And this last message I want to read is from Cephas Akoto. He says, if the MP is saying he has no funds on his own to construct roads, schools, then why was he mentioning roads and schools in his initial statement as things he has done? Where did he get the funds to do them? For 12 years in Parliament, what can the outgoing MP beat his chest to say he has started, for which reason he deserves a 4th term in Parliament? We are fed up with, and so he says, vote for change. And okay, those are some of the messages. Honorable, so we have just a second to leave. So I just want you to briefly realize
that in an answer to the question you posed to him, that what he intended or what he intends to do about the water situation, and he said he had a discussion with the community water sanitation manager at the region, and he indicated to him that soon a project will be undertaken and some expansion works will be done and some areas will be. That is the work, and that we have already done. You have to engage.
All right. So for you, so you've been doing so much in the constituency.
Undertaking.
Thank you very much. Honorable Komla Woyome is the incumbent MP for South Tongu constituency, and you've heard Maxwell Lukoto, who is also contesting the primaries with him for the parliamentary seat. We'll be monitoring the primaries, which comes off on August 24. That's this Saturday. We'll be monitoring, and Trust Joy News will bringing you all the updates from all the constituencies. It's been Stronghold, and it's an interesting conversation.